Hello. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I want to talk today about, you guessed it, bureaucracy. And today the angle I want to talk about the bureaucracy is I want to talk about disability, and I'm going to use my case at Duke as an example. I don't think it's a unique case. I think we should think of it more generally, but I'll describe my case with Duke, and you will hopefully get to think a little bit more about human capital, productivity, caring, and bureaucracy, but through this lens. Okay, so I'm very disabled. If you look at my right hand, the only movement I have is this. That's it. I can lift my fingers, but they fall. And to type, I need to bend my fingers, and then I can type with this one. If I don't bend it, it hits in a very strange way. So I bend this and I type with this finger. But as you can see, my fingers move very much to the side. So when I bend them, it creates tension on the joints and it's very painful. So it ends up that I can write about a page and a half a day. When I start writing more than that, I have a lot of pain from holding the hand. This hand, by the way, these two fingers are not good. I can move these three quite well. These two don't move much. That's it. So anyway, tough to write. When I started being an academic, we didn't have to write that much. Writing has increased dramatically. Email added a lot of tasks, and bureaucracy added a lot of it. You know, now every study I do has lots of paperwork. Any request for reimbursement has lots of paperwork. You know, everything is more formal, and also there's nobody that you can meet and talk. Like you know, at some point I would be able to talk to the Duke lawyer and say, hey, can we do this and this and this? And now, no, it all needs to be formal, it all needs to be documented, need a paper trail for lots of things. So everything has become much more cumbersome. So if I had a lot of my ability to write could be dedicated to work, now a lot of my time needs to be dedicated to procedures. So a little bit more than 3 years ago, there was a dramatic increase in demands to submit all kinds of things. Perfectly fine. And I needed to submit a report about all the research that we're doing. And the university wanted it, and I said, look, give me some extra time to do this. This will take me a really long time. Give me some extra time. And they said, no. And I said, I need some accommodation. And they said, we don't see that you need an accommodation. Here's a link to submit to get this accommodation. And I basically said, what am I supposed to do now? You're telling me to submit this, a lot of work in a very short time. I can't handle it. My hands are very painful. And they said, no, you have to do it, and you can also submit this link. By the way, I started following on that link. That was more than 3.5 years ago. I haven't got the accommodation yet. It's still in the process to do things. It's not that they're not going to do it. It will just probably that they'll do it just slightly after I will retire at age 75 or something. So they said, look, you have to do this. You have a deadline. I said, I need accommodation. They said, here's a link to start getting the accommodation. I met somebody very high up from the university after that. I said, look what they're doing. We're part of the university. Why don't they do it? They said, well, that's the procedure. You need an accommodation. Here's something to follow. Anyway, so we're more than 3.5 years. Oh, by the way, I met with that committee that needed the paper, and then a week later I said, look, I'm really trying. I'm trying to push myself. I increased the dose of my pain medication, but I'm increasing it a lot. I don't think it's that healthy to deal with the extra writing demands creates extra pain. I've increased my pain medication. Can you please push the deadline or not give me that deadline? They said, no, here's the link again. Go for the accommodation. Anyway, we're more than 3.5 years into it. I saw a doctor twice. They gave a list of accommodation. They did switch my office to an office that has better temperature control. one of the things that happen with burns is that it's very hard to regulate temperature. All these burned skin with the scars, everything I have, basically has no temperature control. There's no sweat, of course. Also, it reacts very badly to cold weather. So one thing happened. The rest, of course, hasn't happened. Now, when I joined the university, I met with my dean, and he said, "What would you like to come here?" And I said, "I don't need a salary increase. I want two things. I want a good research budget, and I want a full-time assistant." And I said, "Look, I have difficulty with my hands. If I'll have an assistant, that will make me much more effective." And the dean agreed. Fast forward later, the world is much more bureaucratic. The world is much more procedural. And it turns out that the people from the disability accommodation at Duke are saying that they're not required to give me an assistant. That's not part of the rule. And I said, "Look, but this was my agreement coming to Duke." And I even asked the previous dean who hired me to send them a letter about that, which he did. But they said, "We're not obligated to do it. We have a process. We'll see where the process leads us." Anyway, I don't know where this will end. It will certainly not end quickly. It certainly created years of disappointment. I'll give a very tough metaphor. But the tough metaphor is that when kids are being physically abused by their parents, the difficulty is not just with the physical part being hit. A big part of the difficulty is that the people that they need the most. And people like me with a severe disability, who are our parents? It's the people in the accommodation office. It's the provost. It's the people who are supposed to see our difficulty. The university can ask for us to do lots of things. Some things for me are more difficult. Here I had a period where they gave me a demand that created more pain. I told them I was increasing my pain medication. It was not enough, and they said, "That's the process." If it was an enemy, a competitor, okay, there's a competition. But these are supposed to be my people. The people from the disability center are supposed to be the people who are helping me. In fact, that's their job. The university in general should want me to be as productive and as effective as possible. Why is the university fighting me? Why are they saying, "Oh, you were hired on this, but we don't have to do you anymore"? You want to open my initial negotiation early on, and everything is just about what they have to do. Nobody's thinking about. Nobody asked me the question of, what would make you the most productive? What would make you the most efficient? What would help you be the best research faculty professor that you can, and let's figure what this is. No. What is the thought? The thought is, what is the least that they need to do to fit with the legal construct and to spend the least amount of time possible on this. Now, this is the story of my request for disability accommodation from Duke and my failure over 3.5 years to get any such accommodations, anything reasonable. But the story is I think, the bigger story of bureaucracy. The story is about people who are feeling that their organization, the organization that they are working for and motivated for and want to be successful. I want Duke to be successful. Maybe a little bit less now than I used to. But I still care about the students. I care about the alumni. I still care. But this organization that I work for The parent in the metaphor is fighting me, is not helping me. It's not indifferent even, it's antagonistic. I think I've spent more time filling forms for requests for accommodation than any help I got. So we want people like me to feel connected to the organization. We want people like me to want the organization to do better, to spend time and energy and motivation and creativity. And the organization, the parent in our example, is fighting back. He's saying, we don't care about you. We want to do the least amount of investment in you. We don't care about your productivity. We don't care about anything you're trying to do. We just want to minimize time and energy. And I think that's the problem. And, you know, is this the intent of this bureaucratic system called disability accommodation? Probably not. But is this what it has come to? Absolutely yes. Okay, I'll come back. It's been 3.5 years, a bit more. So far I got to move office. I got lots of letters. I'll come back in 3.5 years and keep you posted if anything has changed since then. Wishing all of us a system that recognizes us, especially within our organization, that we will feel that somebody on the other side wants us to be productive, that somebody cares, that somebody wants to help us. One day, maybe we'll get there. Bye for now.